a histography of the former APC national chairman. We now have in the studio Fidelis McClever, acting group politics editor of Daily Trust, to give us an insight into the intrigues. Editor, talk us through the background of this resignation of the former national chairman and former secretary of the All Progressives Congress. Is it that the crisis within the party consumed them, or is there a story that we're not hearing about?
I think a combination of both. The crisis within the party played a major role, and then, of course, there are also powerful forces within the polity that worked towards having the national chairman to resign. As we all know, we know the circumstances in which Abdullah Adamu emerged as the chairman. He was the preferred candidate of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. And so when he came in, he faced a lot of crises, which he was not able to manage them properly. And then during the build-up to the presidential election, we knew how he worked against the preferred, candidate or choice of the party. He had his support for somebody else. So by the end of the day, eventually, and I'm talking about the former Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, whom he openly supported, to have, emerged as the candidate of the party, but it didn't work out that way. So by the end of the day, the current president, President Bola Tinubu, picked the ticket, and then he eventually won. So, given that kind of scenario, definitely there is this feeling within the hierarchy of the party that he is not working in the interest of the current president and also of the party. And so we saw how even within his party hierarchy, the deputy national chairman Northwest, Salihu Lukman, had been opposed to his ways of doing things. He had written several petitions and then came up with allegations of corruption and the rest of them, and against Adamu. And in the state too, we saw also that in the aftermath of the 2023 general elections, most of the state chapters of the party were engrossed in crisis, one crisis of the other, that saw the expulsion of most members, the suspension of several members, and then state chapters of the party were embroiled in crisis, and Adamu did little to be able to manage this crisis properly.
Let me take you back to the point that you made earlier about whether this is because the former national chairman worked against the president. You did make a sentence or two about that. Would you like to expand that just a little bit? Yes,
like I said, not working against the former president.
No, the current president.
Yeah, the current president, that's true. We knew what happened when the presidential primaries took place. Abdullah Adamu came up, publicly to say that the party was endorsing the candidature of Ahmed Lawan, who was the Senate president at the time, against the choice of the majority members of the party, especially the governors from the northern part of the country, who had wanted or had thought that power should shift to the southern part of the country. So that was an open affront, so to speak. And then by the end of the day, his own choice couldn't make it. Bola Ahmed Tinubu picked the ticket, and then eventually he went campaigning, and then he got elected as the president of the country.
Now, talk to us about the emerging pattern which we're seeing now. After every new election, a president is sworn in, and then the national chairman seems endangered Why is this so?
It is actually a pattern that has been there since, the return to democracy in this country. Hardly would you have any national chairman, not even just the ruling party, always the party that is in power. You see that after the general elections, the national chairman hardly lasts for a year or two before they are aged out of the office. Of course, this is as a result of power play, and then emerging interest within the polity. Of course, anybody that comes in would like to assert and have somebody at the saddle of the ruling political party that can key into their policies and stuff like that. So it's one pattern that has been with us over time, and then that is why many people did not see the case of Abdullah Adamu as a surprise.
Right. Let's talk about the current acting chairman who is now in place. What would portend for the party, and how will they come up with a substantive chair?
Okay, now for the acting national chair, now by the constitution of the party, he is supposed to be in saddle for a period of 3 months, within which he is expected to organize a mini convention that will now produce the substantive or the new national chairman. So they just had a National Working Committee meeting today in Abuja, where they suspended the next meeting that was proposed for tomorrow and thereafter. And what they are saying is that, of course, having taken over, he would need time now to be able to galvanize his team together to work towards having that mini national convention that would produce the next chairman.
We want to thank you so very much. We've been talking to Mr. Fidelis McClever, Acting Group Politics Editor of Daily Trust, who has given us an insight into the intrigues in the resignation of the former national chairman of the APC. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your presence.